Let's discuss the difference between the somatic and autonomic nervous systems. As discussed earlier, the nervous system can be divided into two main parts, the central nervous system, CNS, and the peripheral nervous system, PNS. CNS, which includes the brain and spinal cord. PNS, which includes all the nerves outside of the brain and spinal cord. It is further divided into the somatic nervous system and the autonomic nervous system. The somatic nervous system controls voluntary movements and sensory input from the external environment. It is concerned with voluntary functions, those movements under our conscious control, such as locomotion, walking, talking, writing, and reaching for objects. This system involves the activation of motor neurons in the brain's motor cortex and is executed through the somatic nervous system. It consists of two types of neurons, sensory neurons which carry information from cutaneous and special sensory receptors in the peripheral organs to the CNS, and motor neurons that conduct impulses from the CNS to skeletal muscles. The autonomic nervous system regulates involuntary functions and is essential for maintaining basic physiological functions and responding rapidly to stimuli. It is concerned with automatic or involuntary movements not under our conscious control, such as heartbeat, peristaltic movement, and reflex actions like blinking or withdrawing from a painful stimulus. These functions are regulated by reflex arcs in the spinal cord rather than by direct conscious input from the brain. The autonomic nervous system consists of two types of neurons, afferent neurons that are sensory neurons that carry information from receptors located primarily in the viscera to the CNS. Efferent neurons, which are motor neurons that conduct impulses from the CNS to effector organs. Now let's study the difference between somatic and autonomic nervous system. Firstly, ganglia. In the somatic nervous system, ganglia are absent, and the distal synapse occurs within the CNS, typically at the level of the spinal cord or brainstem. In contrast, the autonomic nervous system has ganglia, and the distal synapse occurs outside the CNS, typically located close to target organs in parasympathetic and away from the target organ in case of sympathetic nervous system. Next is nerve fiber myelination. In the somatic nervous system, nerve fibers are myelinated, providing fast conduction of nerve impulses to skeletal muscles. While in the autonomic nervous system, preganglionic fibers are myelinated, while postganglionic fibers are unmyelinated, which affects the speed of transmission. The primary neurotransmitter in the somatic nervous system is acetylcholine, which stimulates skeletal muscle contraction. And in the ANS, neurotransmitters vary depending on the division. In the parasympathetic division, both preganglionic and postganglionic fibers release acetylcholine, while in the sympathetic division, preganglionic fibers release acetylcholine, and postganglionic fibers release norepinephrine. The somatic nervous system primarily supplies skeletal muscles, while the ANS innervates smooth muscle, cardiac muscle, and glands, regulating involuntary functions such as heart rate, digestion, and glandular secretion. The somatic nervous system generally has a stimulatory effect on skeletal muscles, leading to contraction. In contrast, the ANS has both stimulatory and inhibitory effects on effector organs, depending on the neurotransmitter released and the type of receptors present on the target cells. Since the structures receiving the autonomic nerve supply poses an inherent physiological activity and nervous influences only augment or reduce the initial functional level, which not in the case of somatic structures that depend solely on nervous signals for activation. Thus, interruption in the autonomic nerve supply do not fully eradicate vegetative functions, but any interruption in the somatic nerve supply, complete paralysis and atrophy is observed. This inherent physiological activity acts as a natural safeguard, ensuring some level of function persists even without nervous input. Thus, the somatic and autonomic nervous systems help in regulating different aspects of bodily functions and responses. Thank you.